Hello everybody, I'm Sniping as Fun, and in today's other video that I plan on doing, I just wanted to talk a little bit about a certain thing on the Wii U, a certain statement, a certain thing I hope to expect if it happens. I hope it doesn't, and that it happens for every company kind of a thing, but it's one thing I just want to, talk about right now. And that is, let's talk about like the first-person shooter FPS genre on the Wii U. That's all I want to talk about. And like, think about here is, and this is what I'm talking about, and it's coming from the point of view of what are we going to expect from third parties kind of a thing with their games pretty much. When first-person shooters, which are bound to happen anyways, are going to come to the Nintendo Wii U. And basically my entire statement here is, if third parties, or at least hardly any third parties, don't put multi-controls into their, first-person shooter games, and decide to, oh, you know what, we're just going to keep it like dual analog and put like the Wii U tablet as our one and only thing, and if we want to put an alternative, we're going to use the classic controller Pro. That kind of thing. We're not going to worry about the Wii Remote Nunchuck. No one's going to use that kind of thing. My plan is, if the Wii Remote Nunchuck and Wii Motion Plus in general, and if there is any update to the motion controls, then if they do like a Wii Motion Plus Plus or a Nunchuck Plus or stuff like that in the future, if hardly any third-party developers use that further, and not just first-person shooters in general, but this video is mainly about like the first-person shooter genre kind of thing. If hardly to no third-party developers use that in their games, Nintendo should make their own first-person shooter franchise and use the Wii Remote and the Nunchuck and Motion Plus and anything that adds to it. And that's my opinion here, because then they would pretty much put effort into showing that that's a good control style to play shooters with, and in some people's opinions better than dual analog, because you have more accuracy with it. I'm not saying no one should like dual analog, because a lot of people are used to dual analog. I'm used to playing with both. I could play shooters with the Wii Remote and the Nunchuck in dual analog, and even every once in a while, like I used to in the past when I had like a demo on the computer years ago of like Unreal Tournament on the PC, I could use, if I wanted to ever use it, like a mouse and keyboard kind of thing. Although that's not really my, preference kind of thing. My opinion, my point here is, when it comes to the first-person shooter genre on the Wii U, and this doesn't just apply to first-person shooters, this applies to every single genre. Fighting games, RPGs, adventure games and stuff like that. Let's take Zelda for instance. I think the Wii Remote and Nunchuck Motion Plus game that they use in Skyward Sword should try to stay with, at least be an option for, the next Zelda, because that style has gotten, people have gotten used to it, and it adds more freedom, and you have the ability to slash the sword wherever you want. But let's get back to the first-person shooter genre here. My opinion here is, a lot of people like, keyboard and mouse, and the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, or even let's include Move in this situation, and Kinect in some instances, which could use it to an extent. I'm not going to include Kinect, but motion control stuff, like let's just say Wii Remote and Nunchuck with Motion Plus optionable, and the Move. People like those kind of controls better. Some people like them better than dual analog, so they like the ability to have the option of choosing such a thing. And then some people would prefer dual analog, that kind of a thing. It's just, and in some instances it actually is better because it is more accurate. Right here, moving this remote around the screen and aiming where you want to do and just pressing the B button to shoot is a lot more accurate than taking a controller like this, bundling around with the analog stick saying, I need to shoot him, I need to get, and you die. You're bundling around with the analog stick to try to shoot someone, when you could just point, click, boom, you're dead. You know, that kind of thing. Some people like this thing. I don't mind playing with this, you know, every once in a while on first person shooters. I'm fine with this control style. But using a nunchuck and Wii Remote, possibly Motion Plus attached, and if this ever does get like a, you know, a motion thing for the nunchuck, and if this ever gets upgraded with Motion Plus, you know, you walk around, you turn, bang, you shoot. That's simple. My opinion here on this matter is, if a lot of developers don't take that time to give the options to gamers to be able to choose them, and it's namely talking about this option right here, because obviously the Wii U tablet will be used, and pretty much I'm sure this will still be used by a lot of developers. A lot of people are worried about this thing right here, and Nintendo, of course, has already stated this is still optionable. This is still an option. This is still supported, and of course, Nintendo's still going to support it for, you know, stuff like Zelda and their franchises and blah 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 blah. And some third parties will still use it too. But when I'm talking about the first-person shooter genre here is, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me, this still needs to be an option, because a lot of people like this more. I'm sure ECC Wii and all that will agree with me on this thing. I'm not like arguing with people that say if they like the other style better, but I at least want the option to, because if you don't get rid of the option, you get rid of that option and just put dual analog in, you lose a lot of sales, because there's a lot of people like, you know, I can't play with dual analog, or I don't really like dual analog, or I'm not used to dual analog anymore. You know, that kind of thing. I can do both, but I prefer the Wii Remote. And people say, oh no, this option is not suited for, you know, first-person shooters. There's not enough buttons, or, you know, stuff like that. You know, oh, this isn't accurate. I like using my analog stick and my million thumbsticks and buttons and all that stuff to be able to play a shooter. Realistically, to play a shooter, you don't need a ton of buttons. On this thing, look. You have a thumbstick to move around with. The C and Z buttons pretty much to crouch and, you know, zoom in and stuff like that. B is to shoot. A is, you know, you could use the, you know, sprint. To change weapons, you can pretty much use any of the other buttons on here. You know, to reload, it could always be a button press, or you could shake one of the controllers, which usually works. This could even work as like throwing grenades, because sometimes it's been used. I think this could be used as a grenade throw, and sometimes it could be used as a melee attack. You know, and you aim and you shoot. You don't need a second analog stick. You just shoot. You know, the thing about this is, and my opinion on this matter is, if hardly to no third parties use that thing, I want to see Nintendo make their own first-person shooter franchise and utilize it. And then that one, and with Nintendo's marketing, that will obviously sell a lot. And then third parties that are, you know, not like kind of stupid enough to understand something like that, which obviously I'm talking just like a scenario. If this happens, more than likely it's not, because I'm sure third parties would still use that for like the shooting genre, you know, that kind of thing. They're going to allow options, because I think allowing options makes fans a lot happier, and they'd want fans to be happy with their game, you know, still they could buy it. More people will be buying it. But I'm just saying, if third parties don't do that, then Nintendo should go do it themselves. It'll show third parties that it works, which obviously it does, and it's been on the Wii anyways. And then third parties will start doing it more often. And then Nintendo could have a first-person shooter game under their belt. And, you know, I'm not the biggest first-person shooter fan. I like first-person shooters. I like playing time splitters, you know, 007 games. I play the occasional Halo and the occasional Call of Duty and blah 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 blah. It's in my top, I would say my top 5 genres, but it's not the favorite of my genres. But I just want to give my opinion on this, because I don't want to see something like that happen. I want to make sure when it comes to the Wii U, this still gets used, because Nintendo's already said old control styles will be usable. You can use the Wii Remote, you could use Motion Plus, you could use the Nunchuck, you could use the classic controllers, the Wii U tablet there, you know, the balance board, blah blah blah. All the stuff from the Wii basically stays with the tablet now. My thing is just like this: Nintendo could easily, because they've never officially really made like a first-person shooter. That's the one genre that Nintendo hasn't really went into yet. So I think they could easily do it, but I think it's only should be a last ditch effort in the first-person shooter genre if developers don't take that route and more options and try to eliminate motion controls in general, or if hardly anyone uses it. It should be a last effort. If a lot of people use it, I would say no. You know, I just want to use it just because Nintendo would know how to utilize it, kind of a thing. And that's my opinion on this matter. All I'm saying is, if I want the Wii Remote and Nunchuck to stay as a main option for a lot of games on Wii U. I talked about the first-person shooters. When it comes to first-person shooters, all different control styles should be choosable, so people have the freedom to choose what kind of control style they want, and it will make a lot happier fans. You can get fans from that, third-party companies, and if third-party companies do not take that effort and totally ditch what they were doing on the Wii with the multiple control styles for Call of Duty and whatnot, and try to go for that dual analog only thing with that screen and the tablet and all that, and Classic Controller Pro, I want Nintendo to make their own first-person shooter franchise and show these third parties that it works really, really well, because they will utilize it. But if it doesn't, then they shouldn't have to. It should be a last-ditch effort. And that's my opinion on this matter. I hope you guys like this video. Put in the comment section what you think about it. Do you agree with me? Do you think if something like this happens, Nintendo should do it just to show these third parties off, kind of thing? You know, that's all I want to show off. That's my opinion. Put in the comment section what you think. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? That's about it. I hope you guys like this video. I'm just making this fun. Please subscribe if you want to, and have a nice day. Peace.